Alright, this video I'm just going to explore and play around with factoring expressions that look like this. So where there's a number in front of the x squared, and you have to either do a guess and check or an AC method. And I'll try and show you both methods, and you want to sort of pick one and go with it. But I'll maybe show you some strategies that I use with guess and check just to see. So here's a good question. 5x squared minus 16x minus 45. So because it's an x squared, I know that I can put it into brackets like that. Possibly. Sometimes they don't factor. But typically the ones we give you will factor. So anyway, so you need to try and factor that. And you can do that using the AC method, or you can use guess and check. And I'll maybe show you both, but and give you some strategies for each. But let's just first try with guess and check. The key thing with guess and check is this number and this number. So what you're looking for are options. You're guessing options that'll work with 5x squared and options that'll multiply to give you 45. The answer to the options for the 5x squared go in the first two slots, and the option for the 45 go in the last two slots. And then what you do is you multiply out to see if you come up with a negative 16. So that's what you're checking to see if you get the negative 16 out of the deal. So let's look at the 5x squared. So different things you could get to multiply to 5x squared. You could go 5 times x squared. But you're not really splitting that thing up. Like you could put a 5 here and an x squared there. That'd get it to you. But typically they split the x's up. So that's not even one that I would look at. So I wouldn't do that one. But you could go 5x times x, or x times 5x. But really those are both the same thing. They just be put in different brackets. So for the 5x squared, there's only really one option. You can put a 5x there and an x there. Okay, now if there's a different number, and I'll do one of those, if there's a different number there, then there's other options that you've got to play with. Now with the 45, you've got lots of options, unfortunately. You got 45 times 1, you have 15 times 3, and 9 times 5. So those are the different things that you can guess to see if they go in these slots. Now one thing that I've used, and it doesn't work all the time, but it often works, is I call it the middling method. I don't know if that makes sense. Or I pick the numbers that are closest to each other. Like these ones here, there's 44 away, here there's 12 away, here there's only 4 away. So I'm going to start with those two. And if they don't work, then I'll try this one. If they don't work, then I'll try that one. But I'm guessing and checking. So let's try the 9 and 5. Now because these two things are different, it matters where you put the 9 and where you put the 5. Putting the 9 here will give you a different answer than putting the 9 there. So this is where the checking comes in. So why don't we try and put a 9 there and a 5 there. Now notice that I haven't done anything with signs yet, whether they're plus or minus. The thing that I'm looking for is right here, since that sign, and that's the key one, since that's negative, then I'm looking for a difference. If that sign would have been positive, and we'll do one, then I'm looking for a sum. Okay, so let's multiply this out and check to see what we come up with. So 5x times x, 5x squared, yeah, I knew that. 5x times 5 would be 25x, and then 9 times x would be a 9x. Now I'm looking for a difference, and I look at 25 and 9, and sure enough, the difference of that is 16. So I know I've guessed the correct numbers, and they're in the right spot. Now it's just a matter of putting in the signs in the correct spot. So to determine that, I'm wanting to have a difference of a negative 16, so the larger number has to be negative. So this one has to be negative, and this one has to be positive. Okay, so to get a negative 25x, that was this product here, that needs to be negative, this will be positive. Now just to finish off, 9 times minus 5 is a minus 45, and I knew that one from the start. So there I got lucky. I got lucky because I guessed it first time. Maybe I should have put the 5 first and the 9 second to get it wrong, just to see how that works. Let's try another one. I guess I could show you the AC method. As soon as you use the AC method with bigger numbers, it starts getting harder. And these numbers aren't crazy hard, but they're harder. So the AC method, what you do is you take the 5 and multiply by the 45. That'll give you 225. And then you look for two numbers that multiply to 225 and have a difference of 16. So this is where you could get a multiplication chart. Let me grab one just a sec. Okay, here's our multiplication table. Sorry, it just went all right over top. I'll put it over here. It's getting a little small. Okay, and so I'm looking for the number 225. So 225. It's got to be 15. There's a 225 right there. So it's 15 times 15. But 15 times 15, or the difference of 15 and 15 is 0, so that one not work. So we've got to find another 225. Gee, can you see one? I guess it would help if I knew what the answer was. 25 right there. So that's 25 and 9. And 25 and 9 have a difference of 16. So those are my two numbers. So 25 and 9. Okay, so then with the AC method, then what I'll do is I'll replace the 16 with the 25 and 9. So it'll be 5x squared and a 25x and a 9 minus 45. I have to get negative 16, so this has to be a negative and this has to be a positive. Okay, and then I'll group factor. So factor out a 5x there, left with x minus 5. Factor out a 9, left with x minus 5. So here's a term, here's a term. They each have an x minus 5 that I can factor out. Once it goes out, then I'm left with 5x plus 9. And I'm going to get the same answer as I had before. So that's the AC method. Let me try another question. So here's one, and it's just as part of a different question, but I want to factor that. So let's go 6x squared minus 11x minus 21. Let me do my AC method. Problem with this one with AC is that there's multiple things that can give me 6x squared, right? So I can go 6x and an x, or I could go 3x and a 2x. Options for 21 would be 21 and 1, 7 and 3. Now, according to my middling method, and that's just a guide to help you guess which ones to start with. It doesn't mean that this one and this one aren't going to be correct. But often we use the ones where the numbers are closer together. So I'm going to try that. Okay, so 3x here and a 2x there. Again, this sign means I have to have a difference. So then I'm going to put a 7 and a 3. Notice where you put the 7 and 3 makes a difference. Why don't we try the 7 there and a 3 there. Okay, and it's a difference, so one's minus, one's plus. I'm just going to put those in for now, but I might have to change them later. Okay, now I've guessed. That's my guess. Let's check. So 6x squared plus 9x. This would be a minus 14x and a minus 21. I always know I'm going to get the first and last term. It's just these two here where I have to worry about it. So 9 take away 14 is a minus 5x, which is not the 11x. Therefore, my guess here was wrong. I'm not going to scribble it out because when I guess again, I want to make sure I don't guess that same one. So the first thing I would try with this is leave my 3x and my 2x. But now I'm just going to switch those spots. So let's put the 3 here and the 7 over there. One's got to be minus, one's got to be plus. Okay, now let's multiply. So 6x squared minus 21x. 3 times 2 is 6x plus 6x minus 21. Okay, find a difference of those. That's minus 15x. Therefore, I'm wrong. So this one is wrong as well. Darn, I wanted to get it after the second shot. Okay, so if that didn't work, I tried the 3 and the 7, and that didn't work. I really don't want to try the 21 and 1 because those typically give me crazy answers. So maybe my next option is to try changing the 3 and the 2 to 6 and 1. So let's try that. So 6x, x, and now we'll try our 3 and a 7. Now if I put a 7 here, that's going to give me a 42. That'll be way out, eh? So maybe why don't I try a 3 here and a 7 there? Okay, one's minus, one's plus. We'll fix the minus stuff later. Let's try it. 6x squared. 6 times 3 is 18. So it's like plus 18x. And then minus 7x. Oh, here we go. Minus 21. So here I'm getting a difference of 11, which is what I'm supposed to get. Therefore, but mine is a positive 11. So I'm just going to go in and change my signs. This, which one? This one should be minus and this one should be plus. So when I do it now, 6x squared, this would be minus 18, this would be plus 7. So when I do it, I'll get a negative 11x minus 21. And so that means that this one is correct. So there it took me 1, 2, 3 tries to guess the correct answer. You know, and some people say, well, that's too many guesses. I want to have it a little quicker. And with small numbers like this one, 6 and minus 21, using the AC method are probably fairly quick. But say if you were to take a question like this one, like 30w squared minus 19w minus 63, that's like going 30 times 63, that's not even going to be on my multiplication chart. And so I'm going to be fighting with my calculator the whole time to try and figure out 2 combinations that multiply to some crazy big number and have a difference of 19. Whereas with this one, the number's 30. I'll do it with my guess and check method. The number 30, it could be 30 and 1, 15 and 2, 6 and 5. And I'm going to try the middling method. I'm going to try the closest ones. And then 63, that's 21 times 3, 63 times 1, and 7 times 9. And according to the middling method, I'm going to try that one. So let's try and see how it works. So I'm going to go 6w and 5w, and then a 7 and a 9. Again, this is a minus, so the signs have to be different. So one's minus, one's plus. Let's check. So 30w squared, right? Plus 54w minus 35w minus 63. Okay, 54 take away 35, hey, is 19, but it gives me a positive 19. And up here is a negative 19, so all I have to do is switch those signs. So this should be plus, and this one, oops, I have an eraser. This one will be minus. And then this is minus, this is plus, and it'll come up to a minus 19. Therefore, that's my answer. And for me, way quicker doing the middling method and guess and check as opposed to trying the AC method, which with these numbers here, I would have had a headache pretty quick. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight into factoring expressions that have that number out front.